Welcome to Metro Matters. Today, my guest is Gretchen Hunt. Gretchen is the director for the Office for Women, and I also have Latoya Cook Bradley. Latoya is the owner of Brew and Sip, and she is also part of the Office for Women's Ambassador Program. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
So we'll start off. I'm gonna start off with you, Gretchen. For our listeners that may not know, talk a little bit about the Office for Women.
Sure. And Latoya, jump in anytime. So the Office for Women has been in existence since 1991, which not a lot of people know. Oftentimes I meet people and they say, we have an Office for Women. Yes, we do. We work for you. And it was moved into the Office of Equity 2 years ago, and then Mayor Greenberg also really elevated it with promoting Joy McAtee as the executive director of the Office of Equity. We sit underneath the Office of Equity along with our partner agencies, the Office for Immigrant Affairs and the Human Relations Commission, so we all work in tandem for equity. But the Office for Women is really zeroing in on gender equity. So we try to raise the status of women and gender diverse individuals, and we try to make Louisville a city where gender equity is the norm. And the reason I say that is that gender equity being the norm ends up helping men too. So when you think about things like paid parental leave, being able to take off time with your kiddos, that could be dads benefiting from that. That is a policy that we're working towards and the kind of efforts that we do to raise the status of everyone in the city.
So how many employees are in that office?
So the office is right now an office of one, but we work in partnership, so we get a lot done. And really that's why part of the idea for the Office for Women Ambassadors was born out of that, to really create this broad network that's connected to community.
Well, the mayor was at a press conference, and did he say he was an intern?
He was. Yes, he was the first intern in 1991 when the then director was Marsha Roth. He was an intern. I think he was maybe in high school, if not just started college.
Fun fact.
Yes.
So does that office do programming? Okay, we're going to dig into the ambassadors program. So we know that that is one of your flagship programs. But what are some of the other programs that
Yeah, so there's four main strategic priorities. One, we want to raise the economic status of women and gender diverse individuals, people who may be non-binary. We want to reduce gender-based violence, things like domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking. Third, we want to promote women and girls and gender diverse individuals in leadership and civic engagement. And fourth, we want to really promote gender equity across government. So if you're building a park, you're thinking about stroller parking lots and space for lactation or breastfeeding. So you're really thinking about women in whatever you're doing. So some of our programs, we'll talk about the ambassadors. We also do internships and have shadow days with JCPS students. So we have a partnership with the Georgia Taffy TAP School, the Teenage Parent Program, and some of those students interested in law and advocacy come shadow here. We take them over to court. We also have a really great program right now that's investing in immigrant and refugee women who want to open up family child care homes. Because we knew there were intersecting barriers of language access and culture and not understanding the bureaucracy, and we knew also there was a need for childcare. So those are an example of some of the programs that we're doing to really invest in women and girls and gender diverse individuals in our city and really grow the whole community.
And so, for someone listening that may want to get involved with the Office for Women, do you have opportunities for people to volunteer? What does that look like?
Sure. So I think the biggest thing that people can do is to amplify what we're doing. So follow us on social media, promote that. You can look at the Office for Women Ambassador program that's coming up. On August 24th, we will celebrate Women's Equality Day. That event will be held in a community area to be announced that celebrates women's right to vote. That's an open community event. And so that's really the best way to get involved right now. Or we'll partner you with a lot of great nonprofits like the St. Bernadette Diaper Bank or other organizations that really need support and volunteers. So we'll connect folks.
So let's go ahead and segue into the ambassador program. Ms. Latoya is here to talk about that and talk about her experience with the ambassadors program, but kind of set it up for us. Why What was the need? Why did you feel like there was a need for this program?
So I think anybody in Louisville and anybody really knows that women are often the fabric of our communities and are doing so much behind the scenes. And sometimes the way that we work is a little different. And so the idea of bringing people together, women and gender diverse individuals, to have a space where you are fed and you have childcare if you need it, and you are pouring into yourself as a leader and collectively as a leader, is really where the magic happens. So I knew that it was a good strategy because it's just what we know to be true, that when women get together, innovation happens, connections happen, and growth happens. We took the Leadership Academy that Office of Immigrant Affairs does with international leaders, and we made some tweaks, and we designed it for women. So the main goals are that people learn about city services impacting women so they can disseminate that information out to their communities. They can grow in their own leadership, and really that they can connect with other leaders. That's the strategy. And then lastly, it really does help the Office for Women in spreading out our reach. And, you know, I don't represent the whole city. I don't represent all women in the city. And so it's important to have a lot of voices informing the work of the Office for Women. So it's this feedback loop to say, hey, Louisville Metro Government, hey, Office for Women, how could you do things differently to reach the needs of women in our city?
And so this program is made up of various women business.
Everybody from all. So when we originally applied for the program, it took different neighborhoods. So you had to be in a different neighborhood, and that's how they picked us. And it was really nice because you went in front of a committee to get picked. So you might live in the West End, you might live in Fern Creek, you might live in J-Town. It didn't matter, and we all came into a room. And when I say, like, I think even on our first day, it was the energy in the room was just like, ooh, like, and it's so powerful. That's why I asked you, had you been in the room? Because, like, yes, we're business owners. Some of us work for nonprofits. We partner together. We did a baby shower at both coffee shops for hands. And it's just be able to say, hey, I need your help, or I need to get this out to the community, or I have a friend that needs a bed moved and somebody has a truck. You don't know who's connected to who, and that literally has made us that much more powerful. And then you get to see people actually do it. Like, I joined the Office of Women Ambassador Program because I'm not from Louisville. So being a transplant was one of those things where, like, okay, I'm a business owner, but then everybody talks about Louisville being cliquish. Yes, Louisville's cliquish, but how can you change that? Absolutely. So as we're changing that, and I'm like, okay, I'm a business owner, and I have a huge reach on people. So, like, when it comes to safety, how do I get women to safety that I see are in trouble? How do I help, with a mental health person that is on Broadway at our coffee shop? And now I have those connections where I can pick up the phone and call, somebody from a homeless shelter, or, somebody that has clothes or whatever. And we can post things in the coffee shop as well. Or I know somebody that has something that could do differently. So that's been very, very helpful for us, and I think all of the people that have been ambassadors, and then telling people about it, because I think our biggest thing, like even when we went and visited different places, when we went to the Domestic Violence Center, because you don't know like how things are reported in Louisville, and to see the operation and see behind the scenes, that was like major for all of us.
Makes a difference.
And it did. It was like, oh, these people need clothes, and you need somebody to actually spread the word. When you're here and you don't know why people are here, people are talking, but nobody's knowing why these people are talking. And so, like, when we're collecting stuff now, instead of taking it to Goodwill, we're collecting stuff and saying, hey, we have La Casita that needs clothing in their clothing bank. We have somewhere to take it now, instead of taking it to somewhere else that could benefit different.
So, Gretchen, Latoya mentioned there's an application process. What does that look like? How does a person know to apply? Let's talk about when those applications go out.
Yeah, so
I'm going to come back to you.
Yes, we got to introduce Latoya too, because she is a rock star in the community and really a pillar in the community. So we have applications that open up in the fall, usually around September, and we really tried to make it a low barrier application. It is virtual, but if somebody had a difficulty with doing that, they could call me and we'll make it work. But by that I mean low barrier, that it doesn't have a lot of information, but we do want to know, who are you? How are you connected to your community? What do you think are issues impacting women? What do you want to do? Why do you want to give back? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Because we know that leaders come in all forms. And someone may not have the title, but they may be the connector in their neighborhood. So we want to tease that out. And then we have a panel that reviews all of that. And then decisions are made, and then the cohort starts in January till about the summer. So it's 6 months, one day a month, a work day, where we provide food and parking voucher and childcare to remove those barriers. The one thing I will say, though, is that we really only have about 25 spots per year. And this year in particular, we had over 100 applicants.
Really?
And there was great desire for the program. So we actually created another offering open to all the other folks that we couldn't seat in this class because, as Latoya said, we try to do this balance of making sure we have representation from around the city, different sectors, business, nonprofit, community. And so what that says to me is that there is much greater need in the city for women and gender diverse folks to gather, to be together, to support one another, and to be part of solutions. There's just a lot of energy right now in the city.
Well, I want to understand more about from Latoya. So, Latoya Cook Bradley is the owner of Sip and Brew.
Brew and Sip.
Brew and Sip. I'm so sorry.
You did so good.
So she is a business owner who is in this space with other business owners.
Everybody.
Do you have to be a business owner to be?
No, because we worked with people like I met people that worked for OSHA. I met people that worked for Hands.
What is Hands?
Hands. Tabitha is the director. Is she the director?
Tamara Brown is Hands, so they do early interventions for parents with young children.
Okay.
And then we had nurses in there, so U of L social workers. And these are just some people that had an idea or wanted to change something in the community, and everybody had an idea of something they wanted to do, and we implemented our programs at the end. So, but at that same time, we're still working together on what you need as well. So, everybody has a reason to be in the cohort, but you bring so much to the cohort where we're balancing each other. And if you're having a bad day, you got 25 of us to hold on to. So we're going to bring you up, but it was such a safe space to be in, and you could say whatever you needed to say because we got you. And that was the part that we don't have in Louisville. And when you talk to people, be like, do you really have me? And now, and I say it all the time at the coffee shop, Brew and Sip has always been a safe space. And that's what I built it for. But now that I'm like, if I go in the room, and I told people on the first day of this class, I was like, this is a safe space. So when you come in here, Gretchen got you. Like, if you call Gretchen, she's going to figure out a way to make some work. Her and Joy are like extremely amazing people, and they office of one. I'm like, they are office more than one. I call her Superwoman. She's like, I'm not that, but she doesn't brag on herself enough. And I just think as women, we don't brag on ourselves enough because we do so much. And that's really what the class was about. Like, let me hold somebody else during this time.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
It took 20 years, and I got my third child, who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
So we're going to continue talking about the Office for Women's program.
Althea, you have a phone call.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, caller. Hello.
Hey, hello.
What's your question?
I have a question for Latoya. I'm just curious. Is this being offered at the coffee shop?
That is a good question. This is not being offered at the coffee shop. This is actually a city program that when you apply in August, you actually sign up for the program, and then you get an email, and it goes from there. So we meet, as Gretchen said earlier, we meet once a month. I am in the original cohort, so I don't meet with them anymore, but they meet once a month. Normally it's on Thursday, but one business day of the week. They do take care of all your food for that day, so you have no worries. Parking is paid. food is taken care of, childcare if you need it. And that was the thing, like when you go somewhere and you don't have to worry about, I have to report to work or I have to do this. And this was a big step for me being a business owner and actually being in the space. That was major because I had to leave my business for 6 months on a Thursday. I was like, oh my. And so it really worked out though because I was able to trust my team and it gave me that, like that was major for me. So when you, I want to say in August, I would start following the Office of Women Louisville page on Facebook if you're on Facebook or on Instagram. And normally when the application comes out, we are all sharing it as well.
Thank you for calling.
Well, thank you.
Vince, was there another call?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So, Latoya, so let's go back to what goes on within that 6 months.
Wow.
What all happened? So what does you said you go in once a month. What does that day look like?
So we kind of gather and talk about, we had an agenda, so we always had an agenda. Gretchen is really good about making sure you kind of knew what was going to happen during the day. So we might have the first day we got to meet all the females that are at City Hall, in City Council. And so that was good because I was like, do I want to run for office? I'm not from Louisville. What does running for office look like? And so that made me realize, okay, once the business settles down, I might run for office. And actually hearing the women that are in office tell you how they got there. It's like, oh, that's not as hard as you think it is because you don't know. And then the serious problems, and we got to talk to them several times and actually take our concerns to them. And then talking to people from human relations, the commissions and the boards that are around, how to get on one, what you need to learn to be on one, and just listening to the concerns of other people or what we need to do to address something that has come up. So like our morning would be filled with speakers, and then sometimes we would go out, walk around City Hall, wear comfortable shoes is what I tell people. Like literally, I bought a pair of gym shoes just to wear for this. I was like, y'all, I ain't even wearing no heels. And you were in the space and you were just like, okay, you could get up and move around. It's not like high school like people think it is. Like, it was safe to just say, okay, well, I'm excusing myself because this moment I need to walk away. We had a young lady that was in high school and she did things completely different than we did things because we was all like, okay, you got grown people here, but I think culturally it was good to have a young person in there to say, okay, she's going to school half a day and then she comes in and she actually is doing as much as we're doing,
So let me insert, Gretchen, what is the targeted age group for this program?
18 and up. I mean, I really do feel like, as our office grows and as the work grows and as community says maybe we want to take this on or replicate this, we could do this with youth as well. I mean, you can really see this as a strategy where you create a safe space, you have a lot of good speakers, you remove those barriers and you make it happen.
Yeah.
So we talked about this program. It's not a Brew and Sip.
It's not a Brew and Sip program,
but it is a Metro government-led program. So tell us about what you have learned about Metro government being in this program.
It actually led me to do some things myself with Metro government. So now, like, I talk to people more. I'm not more forceful, but like literally I was able to, so we just had some vandalism at 505 this last week. We weren't the only ones on Broadway to get hit. So Kirk Journal got hit, Sign Health got hit, like from one side of Broadway to the other. But I was able to reach out to my council person because I had already built that relationship with him. And he knows, oh, she's an Office of Woman Ambassador. She's, and I've had conversations with him. And I was able to have that conversation like, okay, we need to do something different because I'm not trying to run from downtown, but Metro government knows I'm downtown. And instead of causing a big fit about what the vandalism was and going to other people, I was just like, let's work this out. So that's better than blasting it all over everywhere that didn't need to be.
Well, and then my follow-up question is, how has being a part, which that you kind of answered it, being a part of this ambassador program impacted your business? Well, you just said I could pick up the phone, call my council person.
Yeah.
What else has it?
I was doing a lot before. So I actually met Joy through an equity program that we did. We did a book reading at 3800's location So we did an equity program so people understood, and we just read this book. I think it was about 6 months. It took us forever to get through that book during COVID, and but it was really fun. And so now those relationships that I have built between the Office of Women, the Office of Equity, the Office of Immigration, OSHA, different people now, because we also own a catering company, so different people now call us and say, hey, can I pick your brain on this? Or can you come speak to this? I speak to a lot of business owners. People trust me more because they're like, oh, you're actually doing it. You're not just saying you're doing it, you're actually doing it. I also was able to provide a space for people so we can have conversations about all the caterers, cooks. If you want to do this, let's talk about why we're doing this and how we're doing it in a positive light. Not running after each other. Actually, let's collaborate on getting stuff done correctly.
That's great. If you're not a business owner, can you be a part of this program?
Absolutely. So, for example, this year's cohort, we also have Louisville Metro government employees are in. So we have representatives from Louisville Fire Department, Louisville Police Department, Corrections, a woman who owns her own construction business. So, fields that are really diverse, fields that when they go to work every day, they don't see a majority women. So we wanted to make sure they had that space in ambassadors. There are community members. Miss Wanda Trimble, who's our grandmother of ambassadors. She's everywhere. She's retired, but she was in the group. So it's really a mix. Like I said, we're looking for people who are connectors. It's not just the title. We do want a good mix because the cross-pollination is where the beauty happens. Like Latoya talked about inviting in a nonprofit working on supporting moms and babies into her coffee shop to do work. So that's, I think, where the really good collaborations happen.
If you were out as what you're doing now on this radio show, but when you're out, what do you say to women?
What don't I say? It just depends on what the context of the conversation is. Sometimes people ask me, I get open-ended questions. If they know that I'm part of Office of Women or I have on my badge because I'm also a legal board member, I can actually speak honestly about what I do. Not only am I a business owner and a wife and a mother, but I hold these positions close to me. And I tell people all the time, we had several people that asked me, we had a poster when Office of Women applications went up on we have a community board, completely told people apply. But if I didn't trust you, I'm not going to tell you to apply, because I want you to be able to actually hold it. And then to tell somebody, this is 6 months, full dedication. You're not just going, this is not playtime. This is real deal business stuff that is dear to me. So when people are doing it, they're like, oh, I can just show up for 6 months? No. You're going to do something after that 6 months as well. So when I'm talking to people, it just depends on what we're talking about. Because a lot of people come to me for advice. And they're like, well, you hold this position or you went to this cohort. And I'm honest about any position that I hold. So that's been good for us.
How do people get in contact with you?
So the easiest way is there is on our website or an email of ofw@louisvilleky.gov. So just that email. But there is a form on the website that you can ask a question.
What's the website address?
Oh, I knew you would ask me that. I don't have it memorized. But if you look up Office for Women.
Or you could go to Louisville KY.
That's correct.
Louisville, spell it out. LouisvilleKY.gov. And then if you put in Office for Women or OFW in the search, I'm sure it'll come up.
Yes, and one of the great things about the ambassadors is now we have this network. So if there's a community festival and you would like an Office for Women table out there, ambassadors might staff that, so we try to really be out in the community. This is a good way, because that's the sort of giving back, is that you are representing the office. You know what we do, you can share that with community. So that's another way.
How many cohorts have you had?
This is just the second year, so we're right in the middle of the second one.
Okay.
And they are doing mighty things. I would say the other impact that we're hearing is people have gotten promotions because they felt like they just needed that nudge from somebody else in the class to have faith. People have grown their businesses, they're getting more grants, and we're really seeing measurable progress in people's own thriving.
So I think it's Leadership Louisville, it's one of the other. They have an initiative that they work on, the cohorts work on. Is that kind of what you guys?
So I'm actually a Leadership Louisville graduate of Bingham Fellows. They also have a great program, the Alice P. Houston Women's Leadership Program. And we both started those cohorts the same year, and that was really neat. We have one woman, Brittany Hill Whitehead, who was doing both. So I think that speaks to the need in the community for specific leadership and collective opportunities for women and gender diverse individuals. This is a little different. We know that some folks may need a lower barrier access. Our program, because we're lucky to have city funding, is free, so that helps. Leadership Louisville does a great job of trying to scholarship and do that, but they have to fundraise for theirs. So these are complementary programs lifting up women in our community.
That's awesome. Final words to our listeners. I'll start with you, Gretchen.
So I think the secret to success in Louisville and our thriving is investing in women. There's an op-ed in the Courier Journal today that I helped co-author that is about doing just that, and investing in ambassadors is one of the ways, but everybody can do investments in women. You can invest in women-owned businesses. Check out Brew and Sip. Go have your coffee or your perfect chicken salad sandwich in there. But that would be my last bit.
I love it.
And your parting words to
I say collaboration. I'm all about collaborating with other people, but remember, in collaboration, everybody brings something to the table. So that's it.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for taking your time to give out this good information. This program is amazing. So to our listeners, if you are interested or know someone that you think would be great for this program, start following the Office for Women on social media through Instagram or Facebook. And then around end of July, August, applications will come out, and it will give you the requirements and everything that you need to be a part to apply for this program. So thank you, and anytime you want to come back, just let me know, and hey, we'll get you on.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. Thank you for watching Metro Matters on Metro TV.